Actually, is it okay if I turn the lights up a little bit? Just because like this is kind of interactive, so we
Yeah,
talk to
for
people,
sure.
get your opinions and stuff. Ooh, is that doing anything with this? Ooh, nice.
Why is the light turned on?
All right, I'm Allie. This is Film Analysis. Make your Netflix binging more productive. Does anyone know what that's from?
Akira.
Yeah, right on. So why do you want to analyze film? So when I talk about film, I'm talking about anything, movies, TV, anything that's on a screen. I think it helps you unlock a deeper understanding of the material. You get insight into the artist's visions. You can connect more with the material. As you increase your connection with the material, I think you can also kind of increase your empathy. You can enjoy movies more or less, because as you start learning about this stuff, you can kind of notice when they don't do a good job, and that kind of sucks. And it's pretty fun. Cute break. So why film? Film is multimedial and multimodal. So you've got a bunch of different things that you can work with to create a really immersive experience. Sound, music, lighting, editing, camera work, staging, motion, there's a lot. The film gives you cultural touchstones, right? Like we say Friends quotes all the time. We're always referencing movies and TV shows, and I'm assuming if you're alive in this generation, you've probably seen The Office or have it referenced to you. So it's good to kind of like know about these things. And like I said, it's super immersive. So how do we break out of the cycle of passively absorbing media and instead try to apply a more critical thought process? Somebody, in fact, a lot of somebodies spent a lot of time putting stuff on your screen. So more often than not, it's probably on purpose, except for the Starbucks cup at the end of Game of Thrones. So what does it mean and why is it important? Or as my English teacher said, so what? Obligatory Pink reference.
Yeah.
When the same piece of music comes on every time something particular happens, what does that mean? When the bad guys wear black and the good guys wear white, so what? When the good guys film straight on and the bad guys film at an angle, what does that mean? When the on-screen space between a couple fighting increases as the fight gets worse, so what? But we need some tools, right? You kind of got to figure out what stuff you're supposed to, so what? How do you get to the interesting things? I'm going to try really hard to avoid spoilers. These are mostly older movies that I'm going to be referencing, and anything new is just going to be like in the trailer. So if you haven't figured out that like Snake kills Mufasa, I'm sorry I can't help you. So this is like the 1,000-foot view. These are the 4 big areas I'm going to try to cover. The first is symbols and references. The second is staging, framing, camera work. So like, what does it look like? Third is the soundtrack, and then 4 is kind of putting it all together. So like the transitions and transformations. This is not exhaustive. You're going to get a feel for that real quick. People spend their whole lives studying this, and I even have like a list at the end of all the stuff I've left out. So symbols and references. How does what is being shown on screen reference something else that we can understand? A symbol is something that references something else. So I try to look for symbols that represent something in real life. So history, lore, religion, culture. Symbols that represent a state, an emotional state, a conflict, or symbols that precede or proceed on-screen action. So moving into some examples, you can have really obvious stuff, right? This is from Sam Raimi's, I think this is Spider-Man 2. He's Jesus, what do we get? In Apocalypse Now, this is a story where they are on a boat to assassinate a military colonel. This is like in the Vietnam War era. And then as they traverse down this river, everyone on the boat slowly gets a little bit more insane and they lose touch with their human side. So a lot of times when there's rivers in movies, it's a reference to like the River Styx, which is the river of death. And there's the thematic concept of descending into madness. Descending into madness is something we see often. Neo, it's gonna play? This is a fun one. This is a really cool, let me see if this plays. Nice mouse sensitivity.
Signal so we can pinpoint your location.
So if anyone hasn't seen The Matrix, what are you doing? So this is when he chooses the right pill. He's like, I'm gonna leave the Matrix.
Lock, I got him. Now, tank, now.
This is literally an on-screen abortion. He is being aborted from the Matrix. That's what that means. It's actually like he's literally being flushed out. He's in a pod. Then he gets the whole. Oh my gosh. He gets on screen. He gets flushed out. Right. There's. And he gets literally. Neo literally means new. Like, there's a million things in the Matrix to look at. I'll mention a few more as we get closer to them. This one's really cool. This is from Children of Men. So this director really likes having his films reference art. So in Children of Men, the premise of the plot is the future, and women can't have children anymore, so the human race is going extinct until they find one person that can have a child. So there's all sorts of these like Renaissance art references throughout the movie, which is really cool. This is The Birth of Venus by Botticelli. Symbols that represent an emotional state or conflict. This one's kind of cool. Hopefully we've seen Return of the Jedi. This is where Luke, throughout the movie, this is like his outfit. It's black with a little strip of white. That's because he is on the edge of turning to the dark side for most of the movie. It's representing his inner conflict with Darth Vader. And you even see him like kind of get close to the edge, like he force chokes a few people, he does some pretty messed up stuff. So this is literally George Lucas being like, yeah, he's kind of bad, but we still have that like little glimmer of hope. And I won't get into it in this presentation, but he also does that, John Williams does that with the music a lot as well. Another Matrix reference, an excellent use of colors. Every single time they're inside the Matrix, the directors put a green tint on the movie. So green equals like computer Matrix text. Blue is when they're outside of the Matrix. Blue is like a color of rebirth in native culture, and it's also just a way to like kind of differentiate. There's a lot more. So like right in that scene before when he like discovers the Matrix, he's reading a book called Simulation and Simulacra, which is about Plato's cave, the whole premise of the Matrix. Or even more obvious, his apartment is Room 101, which is a reference to 1984, which is a torture. Room 101 is a torture chamber where you're forced to confront your phobias and your inner truths, right? So lots of, there have been books written on the Matrix. Matrix 2, though, not as much. So this is an example of a symbol which is used to represent like youth. So this is a crazy psychopath serial killer in the movie Clockwork Orange. Lots of really great symbolism here. He's drinking milk, which is really unsettling to watch a kind of a mentally deranged older man doing. That's because milk is generally associated as like a sort of youthful drink. So like nursing mothers, you'd associate it with it, or like young kids. And even the fact that they chose this actor to have like really piercing blue eyes, that comes out, the like Aryanism ideology comes out in the movie, which is kind of cool. Actually, fun fact about this one, I don't know if anyone's seen, oh god, don't right click. How do I go back? Scroll, go.
Yeah, scroll up.
Cool. Yeah, the fun fact, I don't know if anyone's seen like the Singing in the Rain torture scene from that movie, but he improvised that. The actor's a psycho, honestly. More symbols that represent emotional states or conflicts. So this is from the movie Psycho. It's a pretty famous Hitchcock movie. She dies pretty early on in the movie. But Hitchcock uses birds all over this movie to represent the emotions and motives of the characters. So the victim is positioned next to songbirds, while the aggressor flip-flops between being positioned with docile birds, and when he's being aggressive, he's actually positioned with like birds of prey behind him. Literally, he even says, "You eat like a bird," right in the scene. When he's debating whether or not to kill her, he actually has both of the birds in frame, so that's kind of like representing his inner conflict. And then, oh, I guess I didn't show it, but when he actually decides to kill her, you see the big, scary eagle behind him. Symbols that precede or proceed on-screen action. So in The Godfather, every Godfather movie, right before there's a death, there's like oranges everywhere. It's kind of like the trademark. In this case, it's because the oranges represent gold. So the wealth and greed associated with the crime family life. So this is it's kind of cool. You see it in other movies too. Like some of them, they'll have. I think actually in The Dark Knight, there's always like an X on screen before there's a death. And then if anyone's seen, I won't spoil this one, but if anyone's seen Shutter Island, scenes with fire represent his reality, whereas scenes with water represent the current reality. So what other people are seeing around him, which is really cool. That's everywhere in the movie. Staging, framing, and camera work. This is probably, I think I have a few videos in here. So what to look for, camera angles, positions of elements on screen, and also camera movement. Actually, before I jump into that, did anyone have any questions or comments on any of the material I've just shown? I'm going through this pretty fast. So for camera angles, this is a super famous one. This is the Dutch angle. I think it was made famous by Die Hard. So this is a scene where, so this is the bad guy, but the protagonist doesn't know he's the bad guy. So he's sneaking around the building trying to figure stuff out, the bad guy, and he confronts the good guy. And he's pretending to be a good guy, and our protagonist doesn't know that. But we as the audience can get a clue because every single time the camera pans to Hans, it's shown at an angle. So that's kind of like us showing that we've got some deception, some confusion going on here. That's called the Dutch angle. You also see it a lot. It's kind of been abused just to make shots look more interesting. I like it in this case because it represents deception, but yeah. This is a cool one. This is high angles versus low angles to demonstrate power and vulnerability. This is from The Godfather 2. So for context here, The Godfather's older brother screwed up real bad. A lot of people almost died. Guy's a total screw up. The Godfather is thinking of just getting rid of his older brother, and his sister is coming to the Godfather to plead for mercy. So let me skip ahead just a little bit. Yes, here we go. So that's the Godfather in the chair. So top-down angle, pretty vulnerable. But you don't notice it until you get the bottom up on that. Just straight power. They're at eye level. You're going to see that soon. They're actually at eye level, but because of the camera angles, it's making him look super powerful. Yeah. So look, so open behind her too, right? Whereas behind him, he's got frame, like he's got stability. There's another really, really cool scene when he's actually talking to his brother. He is sitting, so the Godfather, Al Pacino, he's standing up, and his brother is in this like reclining, springy chair, and he's trying to make his arguments from this reclining, springy chair. So even little things about like what they're sitting on represents a lot about what's going on between those two characters. Camera angles, more camera angles. This is a real good one from Paths of Glory. I actually have like a little film analysis channel, you can check it out. So this is a movie about futile attacks during World War I. It is said that it's really difficult to make an anti-war movie because the very act of portraying war on film tends to glorify it, right? Like fighting is kind of cool. This is a movie that strips away that concept. And I'll show you a scene from it as well. In this scene, these are two very wealthy, very posh generals in the security of this French palace. Within a span of about 10 seconds, it switches to the view of him on the trench. Same thing, we've got that bottom-up angle with the open sky. Because there's that open sky, your sense of security as a viewer is stripped away. You notice it in a really subtle way. One of the other things that happens, and I don't show it here, but I actually talk about it in the video, is you are backing through the trench while the camera is following this bottom up of this guy literally stalking you. So again, as a viewer, you're feeling that sense of that he's literally marching over you. This is from Kurosawa's High and Low. So this is a really, really good movie if you haven't seen it yet. The premise of the movie is this guy's super rich, and they try and kidnap his son, but they accidentally kidnap this guy's son. So they're asking for ransom, and he's trying to figure out if he should pay the ransom to help his servant's son. I really like this scene, or in fact this entire movie, because they do a really, really good job of staging. Right away, you can kind of figure out what's going on. You can figure out who all the attention is being directed towards. You can read the emotions in the scene. And what's really cool is the line of sight of each actor is actually telling you what to focus on. This is done a lot in the movie. What I really like about this technique in black and white movies, and you don't see it as much in color movies, because in color movies you can literally just have this character wear something red, and then your eyes go to that. But in black and white movies, you have to be a little bit more clever about your movement, your piecing of characters, like a chess set. Here's another example. So again, this is actually the differences in height. So the scene starts with this guy prowling around. So he's got all the power, right? He's dominating the screen. But later on, the tables have turned. Now he's stuck in a chair, right? We talked about chairs, and this guy's pacing around. Camera movement. This is from that same movie, from Paths of Glory. In North America, we're accustomed to things moving left to right. So when things move right to left, it feels a little weird. So this is when they're attacking this totally unwinnable battle, which this actually happened, by the way. Cool. So this is the scene. They are moving right to left, and they're attacking what's called the anthill. Calling it the anthill is actually really appropriate because guess what they look like right now? They look like ants. Now, there's something else which is interesting, and it's also why this is a really good anti-war movie. Notice that people are dying left and right, but we're not seeing any gore. We're not seeing any zoom-ins on any particular person. It's entirely pointless. It's just people getting mowed down and mowed down. So, it's quite really a good movie. Well, it's a little boring unless you know what to look for. Soundtrack. So how does what we hear contribute to what we understand? We are interested in themes and motifs. So that's like what are common, what are elements of the soundtrack that replay for certain things on screen, and then also symbolism and references. It's all coming together. Oh, I went backwards. Okay, so let's see how. Wow. Hey. All right. Everyone knows what this is, right? Stick your hand up if you recognize it. Yeah. Right away. John Williams is a master. Okay. So this is a march. That's why you have that sense that it's relentless. It's not stopping. Octave jump, sense of power, right?
Wait, what is this?
So for those of you who didn't know, that was the Darth Vader theme.
Oh.
Did it sound evil and powerful at all?
Yeah.
Yes. Because also think about the influences. So John Williams, especially for this theme, was hugely influenced by Stravinsky and Wagner. Those are two composers who did a lot of work with these huge, like Russian and German operas. This is a chromatic piece. So chromatic will have notes to play that are like right next to each other, sharps and flats right on top. So it sounds a little discordant. If you heard at the beginning, there's like dum bum rum dum dum. That is, it's kind of chaotic. There's a lot going on there. There's the drums, the cymbals, but the horns come in, and that's like the calming presence and authority of Darth Vader. So it's super cool. The next one, oh my god.
I have to request access again.
We'll come back. Okay, this is really cool. So you guys might remember that in Star Wars it starts with the title crawl, like da ba da 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 da. Okay, but the problem with that is it doesn't really introduce the musical themes of Star Wars. At most, that's like kind of Luke's theme or kind of the Force theme, but you never really hear it again. So it's a little bit of wasted potential. I'd like to try to show you instead what the intro to How to Train Your Dragon looks like and how it can hint at a bunch of different things. Wow.
Problems are the pests. located solidly on the meridian of misery. My village. In a word, sturdy. And it's been here for 7 generations,
that's
but
one thing
every
already.
single building is new. We have fishing, hunting, and a charming view of the sunsets. The only problems are the pests.
So we've got
You see,
the
most
bagpipes
places
as well,
have
letting it
mice
set
or
the stage.
mosquitoes. We have dragons. Most
Right.
people would leave.
Music change, right? So this is the music and your musical idea. This is going to be the Vikings fighting. Right?
My name's Hiccup.
Oh, so
Great
it's
name,
literally
I
Hiccup.
know, but it's not the worst. Parents believe a hideous name will frighten off gnomes and trolls, like our charming Viking demeanor.
We'll hit about 4 or 5 more things.
Morning! What are you doing here? Get inside! What is he doing out again? What
Other
are you doing
theme's
out?
gonna
Get
come. Oh no,
inside.
later, sorry.
That's Stoic the Vast,
There you go, follow the
chief
theme.
of the tribe. They say that when he was a baby, he popped a dragon's head clean off of its shoulders. Do I
We'll
believe
hear that
it?
one again.
Yes, I do.
What have we got? Grunkles, ladders, zipplebacks, oh, and horks are monstrous night. Any night furies? None so far. Good.
Opera, chorus behind him, showing his power. Extra light music.
Oh, nice of you to join the party. I thought you'd been carried off.
Blacksmith scene.
No, come on, I'm way too muscular for their taste. They would know what to do with all this.
Well, they need toothpicks, don't they?
The meathead with attitude and
There'll be
interchangeable
a few
names
obvious
is
ones coming
Gobbler.
soon.
I've been his apprentice ever since I was little. Well, littler.
We move to the more defenses. We'll counter-attack with the catapults.
See? Old village, lots and lots of new houses.
Fire!
Oh, and that's Fish Legs, Snot Lout, the twins, Rough Nut and Tough Nut, and Astrid.
Romance theme,
Yeah.
right? This one's super obvious. Flowing violins, right? Classic.
Oh, their job is so much cooler. Oh, come on, let me out, please. I need to make my mark.
Has anyone seen this one?
Plenty of marks.
I want to now.
Please, 2 minutes. I'll kill a dragon. My life will get infinitely better. I might even get a date.
You can't lift a hammer. You can't swing an axe. You can't even throw one of these.
Okay, fine. But this will
2
throw
more
it for
minutes.
me.
See, now this right here is what I'm talking about.
But it's mild calibration
Don't
issue.
know, Hiccup. If you ever want to get out there to fight dragons, you need to stop all this.
But you just pointed to all of me.
Yes, that's it. Stop being all of you.
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
You, sir, are playing a dangerous game. Keeping this much raw Vikingness contained. There will be consequences.
I'll take my chances. Sword sharpened now.
One day I'll get out there. Because killing a dragon is everything around here. A natterhead is sure to get me at least noticed. Gronkles are tough.
We're hearing a dragon
Taking
theme
down
now.
one of those would definitely get me a girlfriend.
On this part.
A Zippleback?
And we're about to hear, I think, the
Two
Night
heads,
Fury theme.
twice the stats.
They found the sheep.
Concentrate fire over the lower bank.
And then there's the monstrous nightmare. Only the best Vikings go after those. They have this nasty habit of setting themselves on fire.
Reload. I'll take care of this.
But the ultimate prize is the dragon
Here,
no one's
there's actually
ever seen.
blacksmith hammering
Call it
sounds
that.
going on in the background. As
Bring
well.
it down.
Night Fury.
This thing never steals food, never shows itself, and never misses. No one has ever killed a Night Fury. That's why I'm gonna be the first.
Man the fort, Hiccup. They need me out there.
Stay. Put. There. You know what I mean?
Hiccup, where are you going? Come back here.
I know. Be right back.
There's one more.
Quick, stand up! Mind yourself! The devil still has some juice in them!
Okay, here.
Give me something to shoot at. Give me something to shoot at.
Sorry about that. It's not 512. That's right.
Get down!
Anyway, one thing that's really cool, I thought it was right there actually. Sorry about that. It should be like a dun 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 dun.
Come on.
The devil still has some juice in them!
Yeah, so is that dun 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 dun. That's actually. Oh my god, how do I minimize this?
Oh, there's like a.
Screen, yeah, click there.
Yeah, you were there.
Right here.
Oh, escape.
Double click it.
No, there's no keyboard. Just yeah, click.
Click
click.
the barrier.
Right
I mean-
click. Exit.
There's
Right
no.
click. Oh my god, someone needs to talk
How
to me
many?
about
Okay, just yeah, click right now.
He has been clicking. It
Oh,
doesn't
really?
work. Yeah. It's okay. It's okay. I'll just go to the
Somebody press
computer.
escape on that damn thing.
Alright, no more full screening videos for us.
I'll click escape. I have a question. So,
Yeah.
all these themes, like, what basically are they trying to do by, like, I mean, is it to, like, summarize or how?
Yeah, so each theme imbues to a certain degree the properties of like that character. So for like the father, we had the bagpipes and like the chorus of the opera behind him. For the evil dragon, we had like blacksmith sounds and like it was like also a mark, so it's like that relenting thing. But what I really like is that when every time Hiccup does something kind of interesting, it actually alludes to
Present.
So.
it alludes to a theme which is later on in the movie when he actually discovers like his dragon. So it was a little hard to hear, and I apologize for that. But every time Hiccup does something interesting, it hints to this theme. Right. So when he was running with that wheelbarrow, it hinted that theme, and it hinted that theme while he was targeting the Night Fury, who later becomes a dragon. So, and actually, I'll go back a slide because I'll just tell you what the theme was. You can do really interesting things with music. So this was going to be the Jaws theme. It's just two notes, right? What's really interesting about this is in the first half of the movie, there's a bunch of false alarms with the shark. So there's a bunch of there's driftwood, or there's kids swimming around with fins, and you're pretty scared, right? Because you don't really know when the shark's going to attack. For the first half of the movie, what Spielberg does is every single time there's a real shark attack, he plays the Jaws theme. But for the second half of the movie, when they're on the boat, the shark attacks you out of nowhere. So the music has created this expectation for you, associating it with the shark, and then he gets rid of that expectation in the second half of the movie to just scare the crap out of you. And yeah, it's John Williams for both of these, by the way. Dude is a wizard, all puns intended. I'll show you. I think there's two more. They're both pretty short. So this is from the movie Full Metal Jacket. This one's a lot more obvious in terms of music. So trigger warning, not for this one as much, but definitely for that one. Lots of war, much more violent war than we saw earlier. This is at the end of the Full Metal Jacket movie. So it's all the soldiers, they've won their battle, and they're just marching across the burning remains of Vietnam. And what are they singing? Nothing yet.
Mickey Mouse?
They're singing the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse song. Right? So, what does this tell us? What do you guys think this means? There's lots of things it could mean.
It's like a
They're
show.
under stress, and that's their way to.
That could be. I'm thinking more in terms of, so what does singing that represent? They're walking across
Your
the
freedom.
burning remnants of Vietnam, singing Walt Disney. Yeah, it's America, and it's not only America. It's capitalist America. It's Walt Disney, right? So it's literally like Mickey Mouse invading Vietnam.
Wow.
So it's yeah. This is a really fun one. So this is from and I guarantee you've seen references to this movie clip before. It's like part of our zeitgeist now. This is from the movie Apocalypse Now. That's that river movie I was talking to you about earlier. And this is, they're bombing a village so that Colonel Kilgore, that's literally his name, Kilgore, yeah, that's an easy one, can go surfing. So, you probably, yeah. So they have speakers from their helicopters and they're playing this while bombing a village. Does anyone recognize the piece? Still building up.
Wait, I don't recognize this
Like,
now.
Ride of the Valkyries. You know who it's by? Wagner. German guy, right? A little bit of an anti-Semite? A little bit? Maybe? Not because he's German, just because he's Wagner. Okay, so they bomb this village, and it's pretty epic. They use real pyrotechnics. This movie's just a feast, honestly. They go through, they bomb some stuff. It's a Wagner. It's pretty epic. And when you watch that movie the first time around, you're like, fuck yeah. Because it's like this pulsing opera music, and they're just bombing the crap out of this village so they can go surfing. And in this movie, the Vietnamese are like the bad guys, right? But what they're actually saying, especially by playing Wagner, and when you learn a little bit more about Colonel Kilgore, is this is a huge reference to like Nazism. So like they are former cavalry. Kilgore actually has like really piercing blue eyes. Wagner has that German sound, and also Wagner himself, like there's some anti-Semite thing going on there. So you're actually supposed to, when you look at the hidden meaning, you're supposed to feel like repulsed by that scene. You're not really supposed to say fuck yeah. Yeah, so I think that's it for soundtrack. Now we're on to right at the end. Transitions. This is where it's all coming together. This is fun. Detective Pikachu, right? So throughout the movie, his fur is getting dirty, and especially right at the end, when he's like, there's like a breakup, and his fur is super dirty. Yeah, but when he like realizes the truth, and he's like, oh, I need to go back. His fur is clean. So there's like literal color before and after symbolizing like how he's feeling. Has anyone seen this?
Yes.
No. It's fun. I don't want to.
This is a really good one. This is from 12 Angry Men. This is, I think, like the third highest rated movie of all time. They're all in a room, and they're trying to figure out if the defendant is guilty or not. So it's a jury. One guy thinks that the defendant is not guilty. He thinks that there's a reasonable doubt. He spends the whole movie trying to convince the rest of them that there is, in fact, a reasonable doubt. At the start of the movie, the camera is up high. It's like not a bird's eye view, but it's like a top-down angle. Slowly, as he convinces each juror, the angle of the camera drops until right at the end it's at eye level, because they're seeing literally eye to eye. We have more water imagery, lots of water imagery. I didn't mention it earlier, but like usually rain scenes are an allusion to like baptism or like cleansing, right? So like in this one, people really start changing their minds after like it rains and they go over to close the windows because they all get a little bit wet, and then the fan starts working. Anyways, that's a cool one. I don't know if anyone's seen the Joker movie yet.
Oh yeah.
Right? Everyone remember that giant ass staircase?
Yeah.
This one was super obvious, right? So this is like representing everything that's wrong, right? He's got like a huge mountain to climb. And he's like, fuck it. Descent, literal descent into madness, right? Pretty heavy-handed. The last one is actually from something I analyzed, so I will just quickly go through and show that to you. No, mute it, because I don't want to hear my... Oh, no. I don't want to hear my voice on my voice.
Dead Poets Society.
Alright, we'll full screen it, because it's...
But so you made this video?
Yeah, this is a channel. Let's subscribe.
We'll have to go through the full screen dog again. I don't save. Cool. Let's go to. So this is a really cool. Yes. All right. So this is a movie about boys finding themselves, rebelling against authority, finding a love for life and poetry. It's really great. It's one of my favorites. Near the end of the movie, all the boys are in deep trouble. I won't explain why if you haven't seen it, but the boys are being summoned one by one into the principal's office, which is up the stairs, for an interrogation effectively. Right away, you can see some of the elements we talked about earlier. Giant frame trophy case, moving right to left, up, down, right? So I'm just going to play the marching scene for you. And you're not going to notice anything this time around, but you'll notice something the second time around once I explain what to look for. So go up the stairs into the office. Okay, but what does it mean? So earlier on in the movie, and you know what, you're just going to have to hear my voice here. Earlier on in the movie, the teacher, who is fueling these students, tries to teach them how to act individually. So he sends them outside and he's like, just walk around. And then within like 10 seconds, they're all like marching together. They're all marching in pace. And the teacher's like, why did you do that? At the beginning, you all had your own individual walk. Well, as soon as you got together, you started marching together. So that's Robin Williams, by the way. Actually, a little bit further back. I'll show you actual marching.
Where Mr. Keating teaches the boys how to walk.
Oh my God, that's me. So now this is when he's saying like, hey, you started marching individually. Look at my mouse there. And then you all started walking together. Why'd you do that? Do it again. And then they all start. Anyway. So let's watch this scene
again.
At the bottom of the staircase. Notice that they're marching differently, but at the top of the staircase, they're marching together. So I'll play. It'll play like a few more times. So bottom of the staircase, still individual thought. As they cross the halfway mark, their footsteps fall in time, all the way at the top. Right. This is he's a pretty famous director. He's also done Master and Commander and a few others. He puts a lot of thought into his work. So it's one of those directors where you can like really, sometimes like for him a tree is not a tree. He thought about it, right? So I thought that was really neat. How did we fix this last time? Someone hit escape.
Here you go, yeah.
Oh, X.
Oh, we did it. You know what I mean? Yeah, so there's a watch list. If y'all want to watch some stuff, start with The Matrix, super obvious. Threw some others in there. And then future learning, so not covered 90% of this. Like I didn't talk about story arc, structure, attention release, like a bunch of stuff. But there's a bunch of channels that do this really, really well. And I've linked them all here. So Sideways for the soundtrack analysis. Most of you probably know Nerdwriter already. Reframe a Painting, now you see it in Cinefix. And yeah.
What about you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, link your
I'll do it.
YouTube channel.
I was thinking of doing another one. Has anyone seen School of Rock?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think so.
Did you know that the end song, he like pulls influences from like maybe 15 different bands? It's like a really good, anyway. Yeah. The final note, counterintuitively, sometimes a tree is just a tree, right? Also, just because they employ these techniques, you still might hate the movie, right? Like it's fine, it doesn't make the movie good. Cool.
Yeah.
Any questions, discussions? Yes.
So if you ever watch like a random TV show or something that's not like, I don't know, maybe thought isn't put into it, do you notice anything? Like say Friends, would you notice anything, or it's just like no?
I mean, it's like you notice it. Okay, so like you can read books for English class, but you can also read books for fun, right? So I think for me, it's like I'm kind of tuned to seeing it automatically, right? So like when I watch a movie that I enjoy, I'll be like, oh my god, look at all this stuff. But also like one of my favorite movies is Airplane, which is just a nonsense, no-brain comedy. So, yeah.
Do you have a equal passion for video games?
In a past life I did. I actually used to run the largest. Back then it was the largest video game magazine in the world. Not anymore though.
Really?
Yeah.
And as they get more cinematographic, I guess, quality-wise.
Yeah, Blizzard does a really fun job with that too.
Yeah.
I think my problem is few video games do a good job controlling their storyline. A lot of video games have these really vast, sprawling storylines, and they add expansions and stuff, and that makes it hard to have a single narrative that joins things together. Sweet. Yeah.
What was the first movie that you saw which you suddenly noticed these things, like which
Yeah.
kind of led you to this?
Huge shout out to my grade 11 English teacher, Mr. Petrie. So like I had actually, no, grade 12. I enjoy reading books, and like I had some English teachers who really helped unlock that passion for me. And then Mr. Petrie was like, we're watching The Matrix, and I'm like, awesome. And he's like, here, did you notice this, this, this? And it was just kind of like that, those two worlds came colliding together. Because I was already a pretty big movie buff in terms of the films I saw. So like, we'd have a tradition where my dad would drag us to like Blockbuster every Friday, and he would just like pull 3 movies, and he's like, we're watching these. I'm like, okay, fine. So yeah. Alan?
Yeah, so I have 2. First, what's your favorite movie?
I have like 5. Do you want my favorite?
Sure, 5 then.
So I really love the original Magnificent Seven. Not the new one's like, it's fine, but yeah, I really like the original Magnificent Seven. I love the Intouchables. That's like the French movie. They remade it recently with Bryan Cranston, Kevin Hart. Don't watch that one, the French one. Departures. That's a really cool, and I can send these later. Departures is a gorgeous, emotionally gut-wrenching Japanese movie about a cello player who loses his job in an orchestra. So he moves back to Japan, where he takes up a job as an undertaker. An undertaker is someone who in that culture prepares the dead for the afterlife. Unfortunately, touching the dead in that culture is also considered a really, really bad thing. So it's about him like balancing that and his family. That's a really fun one. This might be controversial, but I actually really, really enjoyed Interstellar. And then, oh geez. Okay, Apocalypse Now / 12 Angry Men /
all the ones on the presentation. Okay, and then my next question is
Avatar: The Last Airbender.
I thought you were going the movie, and I was just
no, there's no movie.
I disagree.
There's no movie.
Good answer. What do you think is the best executed movie you've seen?
Ooh, that's tough. There's so many different ways to describe like the execution of a movie. I think honestly the ones that do it the best are the ones that really make you suspend your disbelief, and there's a lot of those. So I think it would overlap heavily with like my favorite movies list. But there are some movies where I watch them and I'm like, oh damn, that's good. So like A Man Escaped, that's like the French one. There's some other ones with really cool technologies. Oh gosh, I'll have to come back to that one.
Yeah, the reason I ask is because earlier you said that even though like you can see something and be like, oh, this was well done, you still might not like the movie. And so I was curious if there's like a delta between your favorite movies and the movies you've seen that had really high execution quality, but maybe weren't your favorite.
I had one that like seemed that it was well executed, but it didn't deliver. So for me, that was Hell or High Water. I really didn't enjoy that one because it started doing stuff like this, and then it pulls the rug out from under you, and it kind of, in my opinion, takes some lazy endings. So knowing this stuff, that was one of the few movies where that really ruined it for me. And it doesn't happen very often. Well, that's good. Yeah, I can take more questions while I think about that one. Yeah.
So what are some like well executed TV shows? Because a lot of examples you have were like movies.
So I think The Wire is a really great example of that. Honestly, we're kind of spoiled by really good TV right now. Most of what you'll find like on HBO or like they're all pretty good. I really enjoyed The Wire. There's a show called Newsroom. I don't know if anyone's seen it. Yeah, that's a really fun one. There's a lot. I guess unfortunately I've rated like I think I've seen 760 movies and TV shows now. So they're all kind of like floating around in my head. And to answer the next question, I watch stuff while I eat. Yeah, go ahead.
What are your most anticipated movies?
Oh, I'm really excited to see that the Steve Carell one with all the soldiers. That looks really cool.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What did you think of the Joker? Yeah, I was kind of.
Yeah. Okay. So here's the thing, right? So like, the thing that movies are still super subjective, right? So I'm never gonna come out and say like this is a good movie or this is a bad movie. I enjoyed this movie. I kind of saw what the director was trying to do, and I had a lot of fun with it. Other people had like different interpretations, different reactions, right? Like your enjoyment of a movie is based on your entire history as a person in terms of what you find enjoyable and what you don't, right? So I had a lot of fun watching it. I think that Joaquin Phoenix's performance was
he's a brilliant actor.
so good.
Yeah.
And I loved the soundtrack. And then I started listening to the soundtrack when I was walking in the rain. Bad idea. Marcus.
What are some things that you saw that ended up being trees?
Ooh.
Or like things that seemed like they would have been intentional, but the director was like, oh yeah, that was an accident. It happened to work out.
I mean, one example of that might be the Detective Pikachu one. Like maybe he just his fur got clean. right. Because that dirty scene was right after they finished fighting the giant Earth Pokemon. So I mean that could have been just a tree. But something I thought that was really cool that wasn't just a tree is it's in the trailer for the Joker movie when he climbs into the fridge. I thought that was awesome,
wild.
Right? Because he climbs into the fridge. I don't know if anyone he's got mommy issues,
Yeah.
right? He pulls all the stuff out of the fridge, opens the door, he climbs in. When you're in a fridge, you can literally only be in the fetal position. So it's a really, really cool symbol for the womb and his relationship with his family. So I thought that was really cool. Yeah. I don't know your name actually.
I'm Greg.
Cool.
Marcus's friend.
Nice.
And do you feel that you mostly you said that you don't do this with every movie, obviously there's the for fun movies and then the movies that you analyze and like to go deeper with. Do you feel like you kind of focus on certain genres for this? Like there's some you prefer more analyze or prefer not to?
I would say it's more director based than genre based. You can kind of just it's like listening to your favorite artist, right? You just know a little bit more about what to expect. And it's not really a switch I flip on and off, but there is a way I don't know if this happens for you folks, but I can tell within about the first 5 minutes of a movie if I like it or not. It's there's just some way you can tell about the way it's edited or how heavy-handed the exposition is versus how good the actors are. I can tell usually pretty fast.
It's actually the same thing in classes.
Yeah.
If you're taking a college class.
Is it the same thing with restaurants?
Your appetizer.
The
first
food isn't usually out that fast.
But I would seriously encourage you to take a look at some of the movies on the watch list, or maybe go on the IMDb top 100, the ones that stick out to you, and just try and ask hey, what did that mean? What journey did the characters take? What were the transitions before and after? I'm still learning all this stuff. Those channels are really fun because I get new perspectives all the time. So I'm by no means an expert. I just really enjoy this sort of thing, so I wanted to share it.
So I was surprised when you brought up How to Train Your Dragon because I thought animated movies were just kiddish and silly. Would you say? Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of to analyze in animated movies.
There is a whole host of a lot to analyze in animated movies, especially I think with the soundtrack. Disney movies are sheer genius what they've done. So in the golden era of Disney, which was everything up to Tarzan, thanks Phil Collins, they needed to make the Disney movies sort of be analogous to a musical, but no kid is going to want to sit down and listen to a song. That's what they found in the early testing. So if you pay attention to the way most of the songs start in Disney movies, they start by talking, and then they burst out into song halfway through. So there's tons of really clever little things. Definitely for Toy Story, you'll hear themes a lot, from that Randy Newman, You've Got a Friend in Me, you hear that every single time there's Woody, right? So there's lots of really fun things I think in animated movies to look at. And anything anime or Studio Ghibli, for sure.
Yeah,
I put
Spirited
Akira on
Away.
there. That's just there are movies that hit you on the head with symbolism, and that's one of them, for sure.
Who do you think are the most respected directors and actors out here,
Oh, gosh.
alive today?
It's so subjective, and Truthfully, I actually don't really like, like celebrity worship. I kind of just like look at the movie for what it is, and then sometimes I'll go back and I'll be like, hey, how did they make that? Or like, what was going through the actor's head, right? I really enjoy Martin Scorsese. I really enjoy Coppola, but The Joker was done by, was it Phillips? He directed The Hangover. Like, that came out of nowhere, right? And if I'd seen The Hangover, I probably might have been, if I judged him for that, I might have been less inclined to enjoy The Joker, right? So, one thing there's a really fun game that you can play. And you can just go through a director's chronology or an actor's chronology or something. Or you can try to do like, start with one actor and then do like the 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon. So watch a movie with one actor and then find another actor in that movie and watch one with them and just kind of go through the chain. It's fun. Does anyone feel more prepared to like analyze film after watching this?
Wait, I have a question.
Yes.
So do you catch a lot of these things like during the movie? Do you have to go back and like rewatch and think about it?
60-40. A lot of my favorite movies I think I've seen multiple times just for that. But honestly, actually my favorite time to rewatch a movie is when I'm watching it with someone else, which is something a lot of people don't like, being on either end of that, but I just love seeing people's reactions to stuff. Like I like sharing that. I think usually what we'll do is if we watch a movie together, we'll spend like half an hour after, like, what do you think this meant? What do you think that meant? So we had a lot of that for Joker.
Do you have a film club or?
I'm really considering starting one now.
Okay.
Yeah. It'd be fun. Actually, I just found out that we can rent the theaters on campus.
Oh, with the Dolby one? The Dolby theaters?
Yeah, we have a theater? I did not know
it's
that.
in Studio D or C.
Okay, we can rent the ones in Building 30. The studio ones cost money, but yeah, we can get
Yeah.
them.
Okay.
Okay, I know where that is.
Film club.
So yeah. I will start a film club.
Cool. Do you have any questions for any of the speakers?
We can't watch porn,
What did he say?
I didn't hear that.
He's in the room and I said we can't watch porn. The first 30 minutes of that? Ooh. Okay.
Is that
the one where the mom and son are trapped in the room?
No, that's the one with
That's just room.
That's not just room without the. Okay.
Actually, something I rarely, you asked me what movies I'm excited about. I actually rarely watch trailers because it's 50-50 if they spoil everything or not. So I just kind of like dive in and hopefully be surprised. Sometimes I walk out. I think the last movie I walked out of was Meet the Spartans, admittedly, but that's terrible.
All right.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you.